What if the car you bought off Marketplace was worthless and there was nothing you could do about it? I want to tell you a little story that changed me. You see, I volunteer for an outfit called Ride to Work Ministries. And let me explain what Ride to Work does first so you get the gist of what happened. Ride to Work is an organization that helps people starting over in life by giving them coaching. We help them set goals. We actually provide rides to work for them. And we help them purchase a vehicle as they're getting back up on their feet for roughly 50% of the vehicle price. So anybody starting over in life that had problems, all different things happen to people, bad things they didn't plan on, and their life gets all turned upside down and they feel like they've lost everything. Well, Ride to Work jumps in there and we help people with that. Some people buy their own cars, which is great. I really think that's a wonderful thing. But at the same time, when you buy your own car, things could not work out so well, as you will see in this story. Now, I work with a gentleman called Steve. He's my car guru buddy, and he's also a volunteer with Ride to Work. And our job is to look for cars that are at auctions, marketplace, at mechanic shops. We're looking for cars valued up to about $3,000. And when we find a car that's up around $3,000, then we will purchase that car. It'll become an inventory car in stock at Ride to Work. And a client now has the opportunity to work toward that vehicle. And like I said, some clients will want to buy their own car, and that is fine. There's no problem with that, but they just have to be careful. Here's what really broke my heart. A previous client, or I should say a graduated client, had saved up $2,600, and she wanted to buy her own car. She went to Facebook Marketplace, and she started doing her homework and looking for cars, and she found a car that she liked. And she drove the car, and she paid the gentleman $2,600 of her hard-earned money. Well, she called us up and said she needed help. I said, well, what could you need help for? If you bought this car, she says, no, you got to come to my house. The car doesn't go more than 5 miles an hour. I said, okay. I said, Steve, we got to go look at this car. He said, okay, what's going on? I said, well, this girl paid $2,600 for it, and it doesn't go more than 5 miles an hour. So I grabbed my OBD2 code reader, and we headed to her house. And we got there, and she came outside, and I said, tell me what happened. She says, well, I was looking on Marketplace. I found this Nissan. It looked like a good car. I think it was a 2014 or something, and it had supposedly 200,000 miles on it. Anyway, long story short, she drove it for almost a week, but it kept getting slower and slower and slower. And then finally, she couldn't get it out of her driveway. So she says to me, what do you think could be wrong? I said, oh, this is not looking good. I said, let me put my code reader on it. I said, did you call the guy back when you had these problems? She says, oh, yeah. I said, well, what did he say? He said the car was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. I said, really? And you told him what was going on and he still claimed nothing was wrong with it? She said, well, he said that if you look on the bill of sale, it says as is. And he said, when you took it, it was fine. So it's not my problem. I'm not surprised. So I pulled out my scanner, plugged it in, and got immediate codes from it. P0700, P0715, P0720. Okay, you say, well, what are those codes? Well, those codes are for transmission. The transmission apparently was shot. And I want to tell you something. Transmissions don't die overnight. It's not how that works. And more than likely, this guy rigged his transmission to last a little while, like a week or so, just to get the car sold. And I had to tell her. I said, look, I said, this is pretty serious. She says, well, how bad is it? I said, this car is going to require $2,000 or $3,000 worth of repairs. She says, I don't have that kind of money. I spent all my money buying this car. I said, I know, I get it. And I could see she was getting teary-eyed. It really hit her hard. I mean, she just got out of the hole. She just started her life over again. And now she gets kicked back down in the hole again because some scammer on Facebook got her. I told her, I said, there's really nothing we can do at this point. I hate to say this, but the car is not worth fixing. You're going to put more into it than the car is worth. You might as well go look for another car. Scrap it. That's all you can do. I mean, I'm really sorry, but that's it. Anyway, she was devastated. You know, $2,600 for some of us is no big deal, but for other people, it's a massive amount of money. It's clothing on her kids' backs. It's food on the table. It's all kinds of stuff like that. And she just didn't have it. She didn't have that kind of money. And getting hit like that was really devastating for her. Really, really devastating. There was not much we could do. We left. We told her the situation. And I went home angry. And I'm thinking, there's got to be something that we can do for people like this. Because we've seen this happen over and over again. I mean, it's something that, it's not a one-time thing. It's happened probably hundreds of thousands of times throughout the whole U.S., and in South Carolina, I'm sure it happens on a regular basis. So I thought, well, maybe I have a background in software as a service. And I was thinking, if I could come up with something that would help people that don't know anything about cars, but it could be a tool to help them buy the car, get the right price, and find out what's wrong with it before they hand over cash, that would be a great tool to have for anybody buying a used car, but especially for single moms, for people who don't know mechanics and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I built this program called Car Value Scout. That's what I named it. And let me give you just an overview about what it does. And then if you want, you can look at the website and see all the things it does. But just an overview. It is a true used car evaluation and negotiation tool. And here's what it does. You simply, well, all you got to do is know how to read to use it. And you got to have a phone because it actually sits on your phone. So you go to a car that you're looking to buy. This program sits on your phone. You would punch in the VIN number if you have that. And if you don't, you can use the year, make, and model. And then you have to put in the mileage and the zip code because it pulls down a database based on area and mileage. Then you go down to the next field, which is the condition of the car. You can put outstanding, fair, rough, things like that. You just check off one of those, and it'll deduct based on that. And then you go down and you punch in the OBD2 codes, which is pretty awesome. So let's say you didn't know about OBD2 codes because you're a single mom. Well, you take the test drive on that car to AutoZone or O'Reilly's or any one of the auto parts stores. Just about all of them will read the codes for you. So they read the codes and then you write them down. And you put those codes into the field that says OBD2 codes. And now there's a checklist code, and that's just a visual checklist. You literally can walk around the car. You can see if a cracked windshield, if it needs tires, if there's a scratch in the bumper. All that stuff is calculated into the repair cost. Now, what this program does is not only does it give you what the OBD2 code is, it gives you the definition. It also gives you the rough estimate of what it would cost to have that repair done. And if you checked off tires or if you checked off cracked windshield, it'll go out and pull down the parts prices for those parts as well based on national used car pricing. So you're being fair to the seller. It takes all of those numbers and calculates them in the background and it takes that number off the private party price that's pulled down from a national database. So now what you have is you have the true as is value of that car. I think that is so cool. So in other words, it'll pull down a private party price from a national database. Just to summarize, it'll take all the repair costs that you found on the car, also the ones that the OBD2 code scanner found. It'll deduct those repairs from the private party price, give you an as-is price that you can print out. And when you print this out, you can hand it over to the seller and say, look, here's what's wrong with it. That's what I'm offering, the as-is price. Now, granted, they may not go along with the whole amount, but no matter what, you'll save at least a few $100s just for that. I mean, bare minimum. But more importantly, if there is a transmission problem, which is super expensive, or a catalytic converter problem, which can be $1,500 to $2,000, it'll show you those problems right away. And the code reader field, where you enter in the codes and it pulls down the codes for you, it'll tell you whether it's severe, if it's medium severity, or if it's low severity. A low severity code obviously is a very economical code to fix. I'll give you an example. P0135. That's an O2 sensor, and an O2 sensor typically will go for anywhere from $20 to $30. And to have somebody put it in, if you didn't want to do it yourself, it'd cost you probably $100. So that's a very cheap one. Now, something I didn't tell you. If you're mechanically inclined, or you know somebody, a brother, a relative that's pretty good with their own mechanical stuff, this program will point you to the exact YouTube video to repair the car. You'll see down in the links when it pulls up the car parts, you'll click the YouTube link and it brings you to the exact year, make, model car and the part and how to put it in based on a YouTube video. I've tried to include everything I could think of to protect people from getting a lemon, or getting burned, I should say, because this poor woman got burned. And I just now released this app, and I'm hoping people see its value and go for it. That's why we built Car Value Scout. I am glad that you're here and you're checking it out. If you know somebody that's going to buy a car, please point them here. Please show them that they do have a way to protect themselves, and they don't have to get burned. They don't have to go in blind, and they'll have a negotiation tool. They'll have that PDF. Thank you for listening, and we are building a database of how-to videos, how to look at cars, how to inspect, what to understand, how to look at anything and everything about a car before you buy it. And there'll be short videos. So if you found something on a car that you were looking at, you could go and click that video and say, oh, I see how that's done, or I see why that's bad, or I see that that's bad. And we'll be giving reviews as well on different cars to buy, and so on and so forth. Once again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.